Excel's Scenario Manager lets you test up to 32 variables and see how changes affect your results. Let's say you're shopping for a home and comparing three options. Here we have a $300,000 medium-sized home with a $240,000 loan, 20% down payment, 6.7 interest rate, and a 20-year loan term, which is 240 months, giving us a monthly payment of $1,818. You could create more scenarios for larger or smaller homes. While you could dedicate an entire worksheet to calculate monthly payments in different scenarios, it's not very practical. Many worksheets have additional data like total interest, total loan payments, and amortization schedules. Creating separate tables for each scenario would be tedious, especially if you have more than 3 scenarios. This is where Excel's Scenario Manager is helpful, allowing you to test up to 32 variables in different scenarios. Before setting up scenarios, I will create name ranges to make using Scenario Manager easier, which I will show you why later on. To name ranges automatically, your headings must be next to the data points. For example, the home price label should be to the left of the home price value. Then go to Formulas, create from selection, and choose left column as the header. Now when I select the cell, it shows as home price instead of just a cell address, making it easier to understand. If your headings aren't next to the data, you can manually name ranges by selecting Formulas, Define Name. I will do this for all the constants and formulas, not just the 3 variables I will test. Remember, named ranges can't have spaces. Now I am ready to create scenarios. You may not have all the scenarios listed up front like I do, but I want to show you how it works. Go to Data, What If Analysis, and select Scenario Manager. Now click the plus sign to create a new scenario. Make sure your first scenario is the original data, in this case the medium-sized home. If you skip this step, your original data may be overwritten when you use one of the scenarios. In the Changing Cells field, select the variables you want to test, up to 32. You can select a range or multiple cells by holding Command on Mac or Control on PC. The Prevent Changes option prevents edits if the worksheet is protected. If any selected cells contains formulas, Scenario Manager replaces them with constants. For example, my loan amount is calculated, so it will become a fixed value in my formula now. If you need to keep it calculated, use another constant instead. Now I see my named ranges, loan amount, interest rate, and loan term, in the variable list. If I hadn't named them, I would only see cell addresses, which is harder to follow. Enter values for each variable. For the original medium-sized home, I will leave them as they are. Remember, interest rates must be entered as decimals. I have finished saving the original medium home scenario. Next, I will add a new scenario for a larger, more expensive home. I will update each variable with new values, a higher loan amount, a higher interest rate, and a longer loan term. Finally, I will create a scenario for a smaller condo with a lower price, a better APR, and a shorter loan term. You can edit scenarios anytime to update names or values. As I mentioned earlier, I have laid out my 3 scenarios here so you can see the different options side by side. However, when using Excel Scenario Manager, you will typically have just one scenario that's integrated into other calculations like an amortization table. Now let's test the scenarios. Select the scenario and click Show. The 3 variables you specified are now overwritten, updating the monthly payment, total interest, and total loan payment summary. A new amortization table is also generated, in this case with 360 months of payments. I can switch back to the original medium home scenario, which is why I had you save the original data. This scenario has 240 monthly payments in the amortization table. When I select the final small home scenario, the monthly payment, total interest, and amortization table update to reflect 180 monthly payments. It is hard to keep track of the monthly payments of all the scenarios, so to compare them more easily, use the summary option. Select the result cell you want to compare, like the monthly payment, and click OK. Excel generates a summary table. The table isn't pretty, but named ranges make it readable. Without them, you would only see the cell addresses. Tip: if you plan to run the summary scenarios more than once, I recommend saving a tab with your preferred formatting. This way, you can easily use the Format Painter tool to apply your custom formatting to the generated table. The second option in Scenario Manager is Pivot Table, which is useful if you're testing many variables at once. You can also return to Scenario Manager and change the result cell you want to compare, such as, let's say, the total loan amount. Keep in mind that the scenario summary table isn't dynamic, so you will need to manually copy any data points you want to use in another table. Thanks so much for watching.